Hello Abundant Babes, Viola Hug here. Excited to be with you here on day 4 of the Vision Alignment Challenge. Today we're talking about reframing and reprogramming and rewriting those limiting beliefs that we talked about yesterday into positive affirmations. So I would love to know from those of you that are joining me on the live call or on the recording, what are some affirmations, or firstly actually, have you done affirmations before? I mean, they're widely talked about. Sorry, I know on the recording it doesn't look like I'm cutting out, but I keep cutting out for like 10 seconds at a time. So if you're on live with me, bear with me for a second. I'll just check my connection. Cool, I should be back now. Anyway, so I was talking about who's actually done affirmations. They've been widely talked about in the sort of like mindset realm and everything like that, because a lot of people talk about their power, but I also see that some people aren't too sure about affirmations, that a lot of people say when they feel like they're using affirmations they are actually being fake, and because very common affirmation that's maybe suggested is I'm full of confidence, etc., etc. And I totally get that sometimes when you start saying affirmations you just feel like you're not being honest, right? But I really want to reframe that idea of affirmations for you as a way for you to start reprogramming those subconscious beliefs, because as I talked about in the post that I did about the affirmations, that the only reason why we feel like we're faking it is because we haven't truly embodied that yet. However, how come when we tell ourselves things like, oh, I'm an idiot, or I'm so dumb, or I'm a slow learner, or anything high grades, or anything like that, we can say it without even batting an eye? It's because we've used those affirmations, quote unquote, like accidental affirmations, so many times that we've gotten comfortable with hearing ourselves say that about ourselves, which is actually kind of sad. It's kind of horrible that we're used to saying bad things about ourselves. And so becoming aware, like we talked about yesterday, how important awareness is, becoming aware of these thought patterns that you have and the things that you're saying about yourself are really important. And it's okay not to believe what you say straight away when you start saying it, but understand that through repetition your mind will actually start believing it, which means that you will actually start embodying it. And that's the reason why we use affirmations. So I love using the phrase believe it till we receive it rather than fake it till you make it, because it's not about faking it. You're not faking being a confident person by telling yourself that you are. You're actually believing that you're capable of becoming that person. And I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I'm going to keep saying it because there's so much truth in it. And I think that every single time I say it, it sinks in at different levels of ourselves. But the things that you desire are not on accident. And if for whatever reason you desire to have more confidence, then confidence is actually a trait that will suit you very well. And it's not about discovering who you are, because who you are right now might not be someone who is full of confidence. However, it's about deciding who you want to be and creating that person. And that is exactly what these kinds of affirmations can do for you. So affirmations, just a couple of extra points on those. They're generally I am statements, and they also are always said as if you already have it. So I know I spoke in the discussion in the chat with some of you, like who said, for example, things like I am succeeding, right? And it's like that's a great one to use, and I mean, use it if you want as well, but also take yourself to that place of you already have success. So one like I am succeeding as well, I find is possibly one to do a little bit more digging deeper, if you know what I mean, because it's such a broad topic. Because I mean, what are you succeeding in? You could call yourself successful the fact that you're alive right now. Like, I don't know how many of you follow me on Instagram and my Facebook page, but I did a post and it was like talking about the stats of us even being alive, and it is pretty freaking a miracle. So the fact that we're even alive should technically be classed as success, right? And hi Patchouli. And so don't necessarily be so broad. Like, I think particularly if you're struggling with terms like success and for things like that for yourself, feel free to use an affirmation that says, I am successful. However, you probably will get better results and more targeted results if you actually are thinking about the areas that you want to create success in. So are you successful in creating positive relationships, or are you successful in manifesting or like holding a lot of money, creating a big income? Are you successful in your job or your career or your business? You know, get clarity around what it is that you want to create success in. Okay? So that's my first point, is that it always should be in present tense. Okay, well, it's actually more than one point, but whatever. So it needs to be in present tense, so as if you've already achieved it, rather than it's something that you're working on achieving, because we want to frame ourselves as to already having that success, rather than being on our way to that success, because we already are on our way right now, right? And then we also want to make sure that it's pretty specific as well. I think really good ones to use as well, particularly for those people that are struggling with self-worth and self-belief, is using affirmations similar, like I am worthy of success and abundance. I am worthy of achieving the things I set my mind to. Because even though that's broad, it is actually based on worthiness, which is quite specific, right? Because sometimes we repel success or the things we want in our life because we don't feel that we're deserving of them. And so that's actually quite a specific thing, even though we're using the term success, which is more broad. But if we're using a term like I am successful, we want to be more specific in what we're successful in. I hope this is making sense. And yeah, so I recommend doing your affirmations multiple times a day. So my first recommendation is that you do them in the morning and before you go to sleep, because that's actually when our brain wavelengths are in the best wavelength for manifestation, is first thing in the morning and last thing before we go to bed. And then along with that, we just basically should take a few moments, and it sets ourselves up for a really great day when we're telling us all these amazing things about ourselves. And some people have a hard time doing this, so it kind of depends on where you are with your own personal growth journey, and some people don't really have an issue with this. I personally have never really had an issue with doing this because I'm always open to trying weird, crazy things. But saying your affirmations to yourself in the mirror is a really great exercise as well, because there's just something about the way that mirror work reflects to ourselves, seeing ourselves say these things and holding ourselves in a really like confident posture. So, you know, with our shoulders back and our chest forward and smiling when we say them is a really great way that you can do it as well. Some people don't feel comfortable with that at the start, but I mean, give it a go. What have you got to lose, right? Get comfortable with doing the uncomfortable, my mentors always say to me. So yeah, that's a great time to do it. And then the next time that I would be, or the next place in your day that I would be using these affirmations, is whenever you feel your negative thoughts or limiting beliefs coming through, or fears, right? So you might be going throughout your day and you might notice that things are feeling really hard and you're feeling like a little bit defeated, then that's when you should use it. Or if you notice yourself say something like, oh, I'm so dumb for forgetting my wallet at home, you know, that's straight away, that's like, no, it's not okay to talk to yourself like that. No, not at all. So even though your affirmation that you've chosen might not be 100% related to that, whatever, just do it anyway. Like, no, I'm successful in anything that I put my mind to. That, you know, you change it to that. Or you might also at the time be spontaneous and change that particular negative thought into a positive thought. So for example, if you said like, oh, I'm so dumb, I forgot my wallet at home, then you're just like, I'm actually so resourceful, I always find ways to like make it work, even if they don't go to plan. And there you go, that's already so much more empowering, right? So those are the main points that I wanted to make on affirmations. Just make sure that you have some in your in like your backlog, and it's like one of those tools that you should always have in your mental toolkit to use, because they are going to make a huge difference, and particularly when we use them over time. So you might notice that straight away after doing them you feel better, and particularly if you're doing them first thing in the morning, like I think that's a really great time to set yourself up for the day with these positive affirmations, and a great thing to add into your morning routine. However, don't get disheartened if after 1 week or 2 weeks or even a month you don't feel like your life has drastically changed, because likely what's happened is your life has changed because you're now attracting new scenarios into your life that you may have not been able to attract for yourself before. So sometimes we're just not so aware of that because these changes are so slowly that we don't actually give credit to where it's due. We just kind of think it happened. But then secondly as well, a lot of these changes are really subtle and you have to stay committed to these things. And as you use your affirmations as well, you might find that at the start there's like one particular one that seems really resonant with you, but then as you keep going you might refine it or change it slightly depending on how you feel about your current situation. So I always look at myself in the mirror and tell myself how fat I am. So what is an opposite affirmation that you could use for yourself, Grace? Like, what is something that you could say to yourself instead that's much more empowering and loving? Because right now by default you might have this negative mindset about yourself, right? That's just kind of happened over time. However, what is something that you would rather choose to think about yourself? Think about that, okay? So I'll if I don't see your comment back while I'm still on the live, I'll get back to you when I write in the comments, but I'd love for you to think about that for yourself first before I give you some other ideas, because I truly believe, well, I know for a fact actually, everyone has what they need within them to figure this stuff out. Sometimes we just need to allow that to come out, you know? My smile, my eyes. So maybe you could look in the mirror and you could say, I absolutely love my smile and my eyes, and just give yourself a big cheesy grin. And so you love your face, not your body. And maybe something else that you could say to create a more positive thought around your body is just like, I love that I'm a work in progress. I love that I am, you know, like you could word it in a way that you're gonna, because the thing is that it doesn't matter if you're fat or thin or tall or short or whatever. If you don't have self-love, you're never going to love yourself, you know? And I do believe that when we have a really deep self-love for ourselves, it comes with acceptance of who we are and what we look like and all of those things right now, but it also comes with a love and an appreciation for ourselves where we want to make sure that we're doing the best for ourselves, okay? So it's like about that self-acceptance. You know, I don't know your particular situation, Grace, I don't know you personally, but you know, if, for example, you are holding extra weight, then perhaps what you should focus on is first starting to cultivate a really loving relationship with yourself. And through that, you'll maybe start to find that particular practices and habits in your life start to change, because you start to have such an immense love for who you are and your body and the fact that you're alive and all of these incredible miracles that come with being you, that suddenly, you know, a habit that may have not been so supportive of your weight and your health in the past gets changed into a new, more empowering habit because of the way that you feel about yourself. You know, I do believe that these habits and changes come when we start to change the way we feel about ourselves. So think of a very empowering thing that you can say. Even if you say, I love my body, I love the way that I am, and use an affirmation like that, okay? To get yourself going and really believe that, really, like, you know, and it might be a struggle at the start, but that's okay. Like we say, we don't always believe them straight away. We use them to create a belief about ourselves in that area, not because we necessarily feel that way at the start. So I hope that's been really helpful. Anything else I'll definitely get to in the comments, but thank you so much for joining me today on day 4, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Mwah.